Hello and welcome back to Matt Hayes' Tottenham Blog and to another Tottenham transfer roundup on the back of two very important victories for Spurs against Arsenal and Burnley. Well, a lot of you say you don't like listening to the headlines, but today we've got quotes from so many people, from Antonio Conte, from Harry Kane, from Dejan Kulaszewski, from Eric Dyer and from Daniel Levy. So do make sure to stick around for those. We also do have some headlines regarding Christian Eriksen, Gareth Bale, Paulo Dybala and Tanguy Ndombele. If you are new to the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. Hit the notification bell as well so you get notified every time we upload or go live. But without further ado, let's dive into it and let's see what we have to talk about today. And the first of what we're going to look at are quotes from our head coach, Antonio Conte, who has said regarding the atmosphere at the games in the last couple of weeks, I think our fans have to play an important role every game. This stadium has become a fortress for Tottenham. I think it is amazing and has the characteristics to become a fortress. This team is becoming strong in its mind. I'm seeing a lot of improvement. And on the point of potential Champions League football next season, he said, Champions League changes your life. The club, the fans, the manager, the players. The players want to play the best competition. The manager wants to play the best competition. And a lot of people speaking about Champions League as the potential decider for whether Antonio Conte will still be in the Tottenham dugout next season. But regarding his commitment to the club, Conte has said, from the moment I came into the club, I go totally with my heart, mind and head. Totally 100% and more. This is my characteristic. I am very passionate. I like to go totally into the club where I work. So Antonio Conte talking there, talking about his commitment to Spurs, and it's going to be a big topic. It is definitely going to be a big talking point throughout the summer. There's no doubt about that. We know Daniel Levy has been very reluctant to back managers financially in the window before, but Antonio Conte is a man where he simply can't afford to go half into it. He has to give Conte the money and the support that he needs in the window. And Conte, they're talking about 100% and more regarding his commitment to the club. That can change in an instant, but as it stands right now, the quotes from Conte and some headlines that we will look at later in the show are very, very positive with regards to Conte and his future. Welcome Ryan, Newcastle fan, little big man in the chat. Let him know what we need from his team tonight. Let him know how much we're loving Newcastle this evening. Ryan, good to see you as always. We got a man, Adrian, Tottenham fan, Dan, Windrider, Sandil, Niall, Christopher, channel member, Chris, Jack and AT. Thank you so much everyone for tuning in. We do appreciate it. Quotes from Harry Kane. He said, I think the improvement has definitely been there since the gaffer came in to where we are now. It shows it can be done in a short space of time, but obviously we will see what happens over the summer and look forward to the next season with a great manager. For sure, I am enjoying it and I know the boys are enjoying working with him. On the point of Antonio Conte's future, Harry Kane said, it would be great for the club if he stays, but like I have said, that is his decision. He's his own man, and I'm sure he will talk to the club and decide on his future. And that has been a very, very common trend throughout this, that people are saying, you know, it's Conte's decision. He'll make his own mind. It'll be great for the club if he stays. I think Kane, they're saying it's his own decision. He'll talk to the club, is probably just leaving the door open for Conte to leave. As in, if Kane comes out and says straight out he wants to stay, he's loving the club, blah blah blah, and then things change and he goes, that will reflect poorly on Kane. So with the nature of Antonio Conte and how he can change his mind and how he can make decisions so quickly, I don't think we're going to hear anyone, including the man himself, actually come out and say, I am staying, I'm 100% going to be at the club next season and all that, because again, we just have to go back to what happened at Inter Milan to know that it's just not that easy with Antonio Conte, and things can definitely change very quickly. Eric Dyer has also been speaking about the relationship with the manager, and he said, I think the manager would agree the relationship between this group and the manager is something special, and I really want to continue to build that. There's so much room for improvement with this group and this manager. It would be a shame for it to end now. On the training pitch and on the touchline, he is so aggressive and intense. There's so much intensity in training. Training is the same as it is in games. He just feels and lives it, and that just rubs off on you. And we all see it in that Conte cam. I think that's where we get the best insight into what Conte is like during his passionate moments. But if he's like that in the training ground, the effort that these Spurs players will be will kind of the passion they'll get from him, which will build into effort on the training ground, is absolutely massive. And I spoke about Davinson Sanchez when I was on Last Word on Spurs after the game against Arsenal, and how he stepped into that game flawlessly. A bit kind of nervous at the start, a bit kind of reluctant to take any risks in possession, but he really, really grew into that game. And given the fact that he hasn't started a Premier League game, I think in 4 months since Christian Romero was last injured, he's come off the bench a few times as a sub. I think he played the majority of the second half against Everton after Romero picked up a yellow card. But he stepped into that game and he was able to play in a system that was so much more demanding than any other system he's ever played at. In the Spurs side, that's in a physical aspect, but especially in possession and the passes that he had to make. He made 13 passes into the final third, which was the most of any player in that team. He made a very crucial one into Harry Kane, which led to the third goal. That's not possible without Antonio Conte. Players like that, players don't develop like that off the pitch regularly. If you're not playing, you'd step into that pitch and be on a lower level than the last time you started. But with Sanchez and I think with Sessegnon coming back in from injury and some players around that squad, you're seeing them at a higher level than they've ever been before. And that's because how intense it is in training and how much it's like a live game, how much it's like that live environment. And that is testament to Antonio Conte. And having mentioned Ryan Sessegnon, he's also said on Conte, he always tells us in meetings that the wing-backs are probably the two most important in the team. We have to create the width for our team. The attack and the defence is very demanding, physically, up and down. I think it suits me very well. And Sessegnon is a player who's really, really impressed in the last couple of weeks, as has Emerson Royal on the other side of the defence. So they're definitely getting a lot of love from Antonio Conte, and he's demanding a lot of them, but the players do look to be living up to what the manager wants from them, which is fantastic to see. And I'm loving how open these players are about their love for Conte and about how effective he's been in the training ground for them individually. You don't usually get this. You do sometimes at the end of the season, like we're having it now, but there's so much transparency with these players, and it is really, really good to see. Danielle says, thanks for all your content, Matt. Thanks for the support, Danielle. I really, really do appreciate that. We're getting a lot of come on you magpies and Toon Army in the live chat. Niall says, tonight I'm the world's biggest Newcastle fan. I think we all are. All 145 of us are definitely supporting them tonight. Dejan Kulaszewski, who of course joined Spurs in January, made his first start in February and has gone on to be a revelation for Spurs. His 8 assists in his first 15 Premier League games, the most any player has ever managed in their first 15 games in the competition. And he said, Tottenham absolutely feels like home. I have been here for 3 to 4 months, but I love the stadium, the city, the teammates, the coaches. I am enjoying it. I am grateful for everything, but I'm still so hungry. I want to be better. I think I can improve everything. I have to be making the difference every game. I have to go out like it is the last game of my career. I came here with new energy and scored in my first game. I wanted to find the joy of playing again. I was getting really frustrated in Italy. I felt this was what I needed. I am happy, grateful and enjoying, but I want more. So Kulaszewski loving Spurs, loving the city, loving his teammates, loving everyone that has welcomed him into our wonderful club over the last couple of months. He also put up an end of season thank you message on Instagram after the final home game of the season. He said, thank you from the bottom of my heart for making me feel at home. See you soon. Heung-Min Son, of course new to Twitter, also put up a thank you message there. He said, a special thank you to all of the Spurs supporters for this season. The atmospheres have been amazing because of you. It is an honour for me to be voted Supporters Club 1 Hotspur and Junior 1 Hotspur Player of the Season. We will fight until the final whistle next week. And again, what we will have to fight for depends massively on that Newcastle and Arsenal game, which will be kicking off in 52 minutes from now. Daniel Levy, in his end-of-season message, promised investment into the Spurs first team. He said, when we reported our June 2021 year-end financial results, we set out our vision for the club and underlined that whilst we had invested significantly in the squad, we needed to improve our recruitment, and the January transfer window showed how important this can be. We shall continue to support investment in both our first and women's teams and our academy. And who may we be investing in the window? We'll take a look at that in a few headlines there. Dara says Kane just released a statement thanking everyone as well. I think he did put it up on Twitter just a couple of minutes before we went live, so I'll bring you that now as well, if I can just find it quickly here. He said that the support we've had this season, and especially in the last few weeks, has been incredible, so it was great to be able to show our appreciation as a team after yesterday's win. Great to have my family on the pitch with me too. Couldn't do it without their support. Steve Roughhead, good to see you in the live chat. Good to see all 150 of you here. But that is the quote there from Harry Kane. We're going to get into the headlines here. If you do have any questions that you want to get answered, a brilliant way to do that and a brilliant way to support the channel is to put in a super chat. So there'll be a $ at the bottom of the live chat. It really helps me out as we're gearing up for a very big summer, but also guarantees that your question, your comment, your opinion, whatever it is, will be read out and discussed on the stream. But let's look at a few headlines, and there's nothing too major to take out of the last week or so. Everything is focused on what is happening on the pitch in that brilliant victory against Arsenal, and now just hoping hoping that we can capitalise on a mistake from them in towards the end of the season. One player that, as I've said all along, we will be speaking about quite a bit throughout this transfer window, and that is Christian Eriksen, who has been quoted as saying that he wants to play Champions League football. He said, "I have different offers and options which we are considering, and then we make a decision. I would love to play Champions League football again. I know how much fun it is, but it isn't essential for me." David Harris, the Irish Hotspur, in the live chat, absolute legend. Good to see you, David. And as Niall says, hit the likes, people. So Christian Eriksen saying he has different offers and options. I think we can take for almost certain that Tottenham are one of those options. Tottenham potentially have already made an offer. I know George Bannister said that Tottenham will absolutely look for Christian Eriksen. Fabrizio Romano has said that 3 Premier League clubs have already been in contact. It's all, you can almost take it for granted that Tottenham are one of those players, one of those teams that have made an option, have made an offer for Christian Eriksen. He said he'd love to play Champions League football again. He's not going to get that at Brentford, and his options outside of England are limited. So he can't play with an Italian team, which is why he left Inter Milan. I don't know the rules around the rest of the European leagues, but I would imagine there are other options there for him that are closed off because of that internal defibrillator that he has. If he's going to go to an English team in the Champions League, I think Tottenham is the only option. He's not going to go to Arsenal or Chelsea, and I don't think he's good enough to get in a Liverpool or Manchester City team at the moment. So it could really be Champions League football is what decides whether we get Christian Eriksen, because he loves Brentford. He's obviously very grateful for Brentford for what they've done for him, but there have been a few reports in the last couple of weeks that that he is strongly considering staying at Brentford. And you can see why it's happening. They're a good side. They're playing good football. I think they're going places under Thomas Frank, and he's a very important part of that team and can obviously feel the love from how he's helped to turn their season around. But Eriksen talking about Champions League football is a good place to start and potentially convincing him to come back to Spurs. And I think there were reports that he's reluctant to make a decision on Tottenham because of the nature in which he left. We all saw the clip in the Amazon documentary where he said to Daniel Levy that it wasn't about money, it wasn't about anything the club could give him. He just simply wanted to leave, which is quite upsetting given how incredible he was for us for so long. But the door definitely is still open for a potential Christian Eriksen return. Our last stream 5 days ago now, we spoke about Raheem Sterling and some reports that Tottenham were a very realistic destination for the winger. Since we last streamed, David Ornstein has come out to say that Tottenham and Arsenal at the moment are not in the frame for Raheem Sterling. He said Sterling will discuss future after England camp in June. A new deal is possible, but only if he is central to Manchester City's plans. If the 27-year-old goes, he expects to join one of Europe's most decorated clubs. Again, Tottenham and Arsenal are not currently in the frame. So, as with a lot of our targets, I think if we don't get Champions League football, we can essentially rule them out almost immediately. But Ornstein there saying a new deal is possible, but only if he's central to Manchester City's plans. I don't think he will be. With Erling Haaland coming in, obviously a massive signing for Man City, and they're going to build that attack around him. And I think they will build it with players like Phil Foden, like Jack Grealish, and try and build potentially for the future. Raheem Sterling at 27 probably doesn't fit into that. Look, there will be a role in that team for him, but I don't think he's a player who will be prioritised in that system. Speaking of players who certainly haven't been prioritised, Gareth Bale has been in the news in the last couple of hours, and his agent Jonathan Barnett has been speaking about his future, and he said Gareth will leave Real Madrid. So his agent confirming that Bale will leave Madrid at the end of the season when his contract expires. His return to English football is likely, I think, but his future now depends on Wales and their playoff games for the World Cup. So like last year, around this time last year, we were getting quotes from Gareth Bale that essentially he went to Tottenham to warm up for the Euros. At the moment, again, his priority is the World Cup, and they still have a couple of playoff games to get to that point. But his agent is saying it's likely that he will return to English football, and I think we can all say that in a realistic world, there are two options there for Bale, and it's Tottenham and it's Cardiff. And it's just about, I suppose, what level of football he wants to play, what his ambitions are, if he does have any ambitions. If it's down to money, I think Tottenham will be, of course, in the driving seat for that. If it's down to just winding down his career, I think Cardiff will be in the driving seat for that. But I'd absolutely love to see him back for a year. Dara there says I wouldn't be shocked to see Bale back at Spurs and would love it. Windrider thinks Bale will end up in the US. It's an option, but I'd love to see Bale back for a year. You know, he was there last year, and because of how Jose Mourinho treated him initially, I think it didn't go as well as we were hoping or as well as we were planning. But then he started to get in the team in the second half of the season, especially under Ryan Mason, and he finished the season with the best goals per minute ratio in the Premier League. We're just seeing Arsenal's lineups here actually. Someone asked about it a second ago for the game later. Gabriel and Ben White have both been pass fit, so they both start. Hopefully neither of them are fully fit and Newcastle score 5 or 6. Not likely they'll score that much, but those two centre-backs do start for Arsenal in what is a very strong lineup but a relatively weak bench with Swanson, Oulad Mahand and Patino on there as well. But back to what matters. Gareth Bale likely to return to English football according to his agent. One more player, or modern day Leandro Damião, and Tottenham aggregator pages on Twitter went absolutely crazy last week when Sky Sports reported that Paulo Dybala's agent was in London. He was. What he was doing there has not been reported. Nobody knows. He could have been on a holiday. He could have been visiting family, whatever. But the fact of the matter is Dybala's agent was in London, I think, last Friday. So we'll keep an eye on that one throughout the summer. A couple of headlines on two that we've already quoted, Antonio Conte and Harry Kane. So with regards to Conte, Fabrizio Romano has said, I'm convinced that the future of Harry Kane could be really important to understand the future of Antonio Conte. I think with the two of them, we either get all or nothing. I think if Kane goes, Conte goes. If Conte goes, Kane goes. If one stays, the other, I think, is a lot more likely to stay. Like Kane said there when we quoted him a while ago, that he's looking forward to another season under a great manager. Romano was also talking about what led Conte to come to Spurs in the first place, and he said Conte said yes to Tottenham because of Fabio Paratici. He was the one who changed everything. So a lot of people still sceptical of the work that Don Fabio has done at Spurs, and it's understandable with the signings of Pierluigi Collini, Emerson Royal, Brian Hill. But if you bring into the mix Christian Romero, Rodrigo Bentancur, Dejan Kulaszewski and Antonio Conte, I think he's done better than any man in that position has done at Spurs for a very, very, very long time. I think he deserves a little bit more credit. Again, I can see where the criticism comes from, but without Paratici, we wouldn't have Antonio Conte. And really, what other options did we have there? Would we still have Nuno Espirito Santo? Would he have stayed for another while? Then would we have got another poor level manager? I think Marcelo Gallardo was an option around the turn of the year for Spurs, but aside from that, who else is out there? I think Erik ten Hag was holding out for a bigger job like Manchester United. Paratici has changed this football club and has done huge work to get us to the position where we're in right now. One more on Conte, and Alistair Gold has said, some inside Tottenham claim that Conte has spoken to Levy more frankly than any of his predecessors ever dared. And I was speaking about this even from last summer when we were first linked with Conte. I think Daniel Levy was interested and wanted to appoint Antonio Conte to challenge himself, because he knew there would be a lot more honesty and a lot more, Conte would be a lot more frank than any other manager would ever dare to be with him. Like we know Mauricio Pochettino, especially in press conferences, when he spoke about we only want players if it improves us, and up to right until I suppose the end after that Champions League final is only when he really started talking about how annoyed he was with transfers. And he said, I'm not the manager, I should be called the head coach because I don't deal with that side of things. Conte isn't doing any of that. Conte isn't having that. He's saying what needs to be said and what Daniel Levy needs to hear. On Harry Kane, Dan Kilpatrick has reported that Harry Kane has given a clear indication that he is happy at Tottenham and not considering another push to leave, saying he's looking forward to seeing how the club progresses with Antonio Conte next season. So the two of them, very positive reports that we could and we probably will still have Conte and Harry Kane at Spurs next season. Some reports from lesser or unknown reliability outlets, Fanatic, have said that Tottenham Hotspur have made serious offers to sign Kim Min-jae from Fenerbahce. Of course, Tottenham were interested in Kim Min-jae back when he played with Beijing Guan in the Chinese Super League. That interest, if you're to believe Fanatic, hasn't yet faded. Il Giorno are saying that Conte now personally wants to sign Atalanta wingback Joachim Mela this summer. Daniel Levy has also tracked the player since 2019. Mela has done incredible stuff with Atalanta, and I think kind of got a lot more appreciation after his wonderful performances for Denmark at Euro 2020. Marca are reporting that Tottenham have asked about Carlos Alcaraz and sent scouts to follow him closely. Racing Club, I believe they're in Argentina, will not make his departure easy as his contract expires in 2026. His release clause is €24 million. Tutto Sport are reporting that Fabio Paratici has made a €25 million offer for Wilfried Singo. Torino rejected and said the player is strictly non-transferable. There is interest from Spurs in Wilfried Singo as far back as at least January, so it's possible an offer there has been made. We'll have to wait and see if that comes into any more reliable media streams. And finally, Football Insider say Tottenham will make Tanguy Ndombele train alone when he returns from Lyon. He is not in Conte's plans going forward. Absolutely fine. Goodbye to you, Tonky. David says, Harry Kane texts me, Matt, he's staying here next season and is thinking about a new contract. Well, Harry Kane is definitely thinking about a new contract. I reported back in December. I heard from very, very, very reliable sources that Harry Kane and Spurs were in talks over a new contract. It was kind of echoed a bit from a few other outlets in the next couple of weeks, but I think this summer will be big for understanding if Harry Kane will put pen to paper for a new deal. Some other stories, and we all know about Lasagna Gate. I don't remember it because I wasn't old enough back then. I'm sure a lot of you in the chat remember Lasagna Gate, and there were kind of concerns of another similar occurrence this season. We Are Tottenham TV reported on Saturday that Dejan Kulaszewski was feeling ill ahead of the game against Burnley, and in the morning of the game, Alistair Gold and I think Dan Kilpatrick also said that Kulaszewski was feeling a stomach bug. He did travel with the squad, of course, came off the bench for the last 15 minutes. And they report that there were 4 other players affected by it. Antonio Conte, after the game, confirmed that Dejan Kulaszewski, Hugo Lloris, Pierluigi Galini and Harry Winks were all struck by a stomach bug. Lloris managed to play the full game. Galini was on the bench. I think Winks was on the bench as well. But there was definitely fear of Spurs challenging Arsenal for top 4. Things go wrong, stomach bug in the camp. It was terrifying, but it looks like we have gotten over it. Antonio Conte has confirmed, however, that Sergio Reguilon and Christian Romero will miss the remainder of the season. On Romero, he said, "We understood in the last few days that Romero had a serious injury and has finished this season. Because there are only 2 games to go and he has no time to recover for these 2 games." And We Are Tottenham TV, who were first out news on Dejan Kulaszewski, were also first to report the injury suffered by Christian Romero on Thursday ahead of the North London derby. And they've today said that despite Conte ruling him out for the rest of the season, there is hope that potentially, possibly, maybe Romero will be fit for that game against Norwich, but it's very much hope rather than expectation at this point. For the end of season rewards at Spurs, unsurprisingly, Heung-min Son won the Tottenham Hotspur Player of the Year award for a record 3rd time. Thank you very much for subscribing. I appreciate it. I can't say your name, but I do appreciate you subscribing. Saying Son is world class. Son is absolutely world class. To win that award for the 3rd time, a record 3rd time, given the players that have been at Spurs even in the last 2 decades, is absolutely outrageous. And Son has had a season that I do think has been overshadowed by how good Kane has been in the last 6 or so months, but Son has hit new levels that I don't think any of us thought were possible. Because of how good he was, for me, I thought that was it. This is the Son forever. But he's on 21 Premier League goals at the moment. Depending on the severity of Mohamed Salah's injury, he might only need 2 against Norwich to win that Golden Boot. He has the most goals on his weak foot in the league this season, with 12 of his 21 coming off his left foot, including that wonderful strike against Leicester. He has the most goals against teams in the top 4. He's the 2nd most goals and assists in the league. He's the 2nd most goals and assists since the turn of the year, behind only Harry Kane. It has been a remarkable period for Son. And when you're looking at a player like Mohamed Salah, who is, as you have to accept, one of the best in the world, who has had this consistency with his teammates, with his manager, with his style for so long, and you're watching Heung-min Son, who in the last 3 years has had Pochettino, Mourinho, Mason, Nuno, Conte, he's had Kulaszewski, he's had Lucas, he's had Bergwijn, all these different players starting up there with him. He has hit new levels time and time again, and he's continuing to improve. It is absolutely incredible to see, and I'm sure I speak for everyone in this chat when we say we love you, Son, and we hope we see the rest of your career at Spurs. It's a remarkable achievement. And he said, "Look how happy I am. It is incredible to be here. I am the happiest guy in the world playing in this stadium," when he was given that award. So we love Son. Son definitely loves Spurs. Another award, the Tottenham Goal of the Season, was given to Steven Bergwijn for his late winner at Leicester in January. Yeah, that was a pretty special moment. It was a pretty special moment. It was the first time a team won a game in the Premier League, having been trailing in the 94th minute. And look, Tottenham have had remarkable comebacks like that a couple of times recently. You know, of course the one against Ajax, I remember was it 2017 in the Premier League, we were 1-0 down away to Swansea with 2 minutes to go, and we ended up beating them 3-1. You have the 4-4 against Arsenal, the 3-2 at the Emirates in 2011 as well. It's just something Spurs do every now and then, but when it happens, it's absolutely incredible. David says Son is world class, but his numbers are so much improved because of how Conte uses him. Absolutely, 100%. Mourinho and Conte have both managed to get the very, very best out of Son, and it is quite brilliant to see. Speaking of things that are quite brilliant to see, I hope we're all going to be watching Newcastle as they end Arsenal's top 4 hopes tonight. I'm certainly going to be doing that. We were going to do a watch along, but we're going to leave it for tonight. I just want to sit down, enjoy the game, It will be very, very stressful as well. So I'm not sure on camera is the best place for me to be. So we will wrap up the stream there. Like I said, if you want more of this content throughout the summer, please do make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. And before you head out, please do make sure to hit that like button as well. It really, really does help every streamer out so much when you hit that like button. We have 313 people watching and only 84 likes. So please, let's get that number up to 125. If you haven't hit that like button, it's completely free. Scroll down there and do it. It will mean an awful lot. Thank you everyone who's tuned in. The numbers in this stream have been fantastic. We've had nearly 1,000 people joining us throughout the 25-minute stream, so I really do appreciate that. Like I said, like, subscribe, leave your thoughts on all this stuff in the comments down below. But from me, for always, thank you so much for watching.